So I'm James Hartman. I am a 30-something. I didn't want to fill in the blank here, but basically I do user experience research and design with the SPN and Disney Media. Uh, I think my title's always changing, and we'll get to the idea of change in a bit, but I think the first thing I'd like to express is that you're responsible for your own career. And I know that sounds on its face common sense, but I think one of the things that quite often I hear people complain about is, I'm not happy. I don't like my job, or there's something that I want to do that goes beyond what I'm currently doing. And you can't blame your boss for that. The fact is that you have to design your own plan, because if you fall into someone else's, you don't really know what their plan for you is going to be. And I can tell you that generally their first idea is not about how to make you happy, and it shouldn't be. People have to look out for what makes them happy, because we know ourselves better than anyone else. So the perfect job is one that you create for yourself. Figure out what you want, figure out what your personal definition of happiness is and success, and then build toward that. Figure out what your goal is. It's a little scary. Sometimes you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you feel very alone in some ways, but at the same time it's liberating because you have control over what you want to do. And I think, if anything, that little bit of fear can inspire you to do some great things. Keep up with change. I think that we've talked a little bit about that today thus far. One great example is when I showed up this morning and then found out that the name of the organization has changed. And I was a little bit confused, and I thought, this is a joke, right? But I'm all about the change, but I was surprised. But we had to change. I think the term usability certainly is still very important, but we've expanded the concept of what we do beyond just looking at usability. Now we're thinking about the experiential factors. And that's because we're adapting to change outside, and we're keeping up with it. Recently had a job interview, and I showed them one of the applications that we put together, and I said, give me 15 minutes, give me some feedback, what you think the biggest issues are, the biggest things we should change. And he said the link color. Tons of other issues with this application, dealing with gestures and mobile access, and he was stuck on something that came out of a Jacob Nielsen article probably about 7 years ago, and it didn't apply. Einstein, I don't know if anyone knows the story, but one of his students came to him one year and said, hey, Professor Einstein, this is the exact same quiz that you gave last year. And the professor said, yeah, but the answers are different. And that's the truth. I mean, the same questions that happen now and 5 years ago and 5 years from now, they're still going to exist. I'm going to still ask the same question of someone that comes in for a job, but the answers are going to be different. So instead of looking at an infomercial, spend some time actually reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching a seminar. And you can buy the Griddle Man at your own pace, but you have the time. Make the time. You'll find the time. It's out there. And embrace failure. This one, as you can tell, I'm all about embracing failure. All right. Thank you. It's very comforting. I appreciate that. One of the things I've taken up recently is yoga, and I can tell you that it's pretty bad. I'm I'm not doing that. It's just no, that's definitely not me. But it takes practice, and it takes someone to say to themselves that they're not going to be perfect the first time. And I think a lot of designers aren't good with that. You want to be perfect out of the gate. You want to create the best thing out there. You want to be Apple. Well, it can be, but it ain't going to happen the first time. So embrace the fact that it won't be perfect, because no one is able to do it perfectly the first time. Do the right thing poorly rather than the wrong thing perfectly, and you'll get there. Practice. Practice makes perfect. It's true. It's about learning. It's about figuring out who you are, what you want to be, and what it will take to get there. And then having the perseverance and the strength to keep going throughout all the little mistakes that will be made. It's about where your destination is. And you're going to course correct on the way, but You'll get there, but again, figure out what you want to be first.